Evening, Nottingham. Board of Selectmen meeting, August 21st, 2023. I'd like to start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I All right. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the manifests and payroll?
Yes.
Okay. Someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable for 8/21/2023 and payroll for 8/22/2023.
Second that?
Motion made by Tim DeBrio, seconded by Steve Welch. Roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch. Aye, John Moran.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Aye, Tim DeBrio.
Aye, Mushroom.
Okay, unanimous. Has everybody reviewed the minutes?
We have?
Yep.
I have.
John?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, all right. Somebody like to make a motion?
So the 8-7 has
I'm sorry, Matt.
the 8-7 has some suggested edits and highlight. Do we have to go through those before
Okay.
that? So go through the highlighted. For line 3, editing, putting Steve Welch arrived at 6:32. For line 8, members excused, we're gonna strike Steve Welch was excused. For line 94 into 95, we will strike quotes attached at the end of my report. Okay. I missed one at line 72 to add number 1 at the end of conference room. Excuse me. And at line 160, we're going to be striking culvers. Culverts is in there already. And on line 265 into 266, striking statistics on Nottingham's activity through NRRA are attached in the meeting packet.
That's it?
Oh, nope, there's line 350, it was a correction on the spelling of Kathy, so, and line 357, striking key. I believe that is all the suggested edits for 8-7. I didn't notice anything else.
I have one additional.
One additional for 8-7?
Line 411, Mr. DeBrio moved to exit the public session at 9:37 PM. That should be 9:11 PM.
Okay,
And then meeting adjourned at line 4023.
Yeah,
okay,
so 9:11 was the time that you adjourned.
correct, yep, I see it
So
right
you
above.
exited, sealed, and adjourned at 9:11 PM.
9/11. And the meeting adjourned at 9/11. So just the correction of time on line 411 from 9:37 to time 9/11.
Correct.
Any other edits for the 8-7 meeting minutes? Any for the 7/26 draft? All right, so I move to approve the public minutes for 7/26 and 8-7 with the noted edits for the public minutes.
Should we do them separate, seeing some of us weren't present for
Right,
the
sounds good.
7/26?
I would do that.
All right, so I can't actually do the 7/26, I believe we have to
Yep.
wait for, so I'll let Tim.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the Nottingham Select Board for July 26, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion made by Tim DeBrio, seconded by John Moran. Roll call.
John Moran, yes.
Ben Bartlett, yes.
Tim DeBrio, yes.
All right, and I will move to approve the public meeting minutes from 7 with the editorials that we've just discussed.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion made by Matt Sherlin, seconded by Tim DeBrio. Roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch.
Hi, John Warren.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Aye, Tim DeBrio.
I'm not sure.
Okay, unanimous. Non-public meetings for July 10th, 17th, 26th, and 8th.
I think you have to do those, each one of those separately too.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the non-public minutes of July 10th.
I'll second.
Motion made by Steve Welch, seconded by John Moran. Roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch.
John Warren.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Tim DeBrio abstain.
I'm not sure.
4 yeas, 1 abstention. Approved.
Make a motion to approve the non-public session minutes for July 17th, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion made by Tim DeBrio, seconded by Matt Sherlin. Roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch.
Hi, John Warren.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
You weren't there.
No, you're right, I'm right. 1 abstention, sorry.
Aye, Tim DeBrio.
I, Matt Sherlin.
Okay.
Not that it matters, but I'm just gonna say it. The reason why I didn't abstain from the last vote, even though I wasn't at the meeting, is I actually watched it on TV, and I read all your minutes. Non-public, you can't watch on TV.
Right.
And you weren't here, so.
Right.
I will be abstaining from the next one that comes up.
Right.
But normally I won't.
Thank you for the reminder.
Just to point it out there. In case somebody was curious.
Okay, that was approved. Next.
7:26, Tim.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the non-public session minutes from July 26th, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion made by Tim DeBrio, seconded by John Moran.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote, please.
John Warren, yes. Oh, sorry.
Steve Welch abstain.
John Warren, yes.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Aye, Tim DeBrio.
And Matt Sherlin abstained.
Okay. Approved. All right, and what else was there?
Last,
August 7th.
non-public from August 7th, I make a motion to approve the non-public session meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Matt Sherlin, seconded by Steve Welch. Roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch.
I abstain. John Warren.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Aye, Tim DeBrio.
I, Matt Sherlin.
Approved. Okay. Okay, reports from assigned boards and committee. Budget hasn't met yet. When are they scheduled to meet?
September 7th.
7th. Okay, planning board?
Well, actually, I attended the last zoning board meeting. I thought, nobody usually does that, but there's 5 or 6 cases one night. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. One of the cases was on the planning board budget. The planning board sent the Al Ridge Builders, which is looking to build off Smoke Street, their 25 lot subdivision to them about some lots, and they approved it because they're oversized for the open space developments, but they didn't approve it for frontage, so that's cleared a big hurdle, so, they'll be coming back in front of us for some more review, but, that's taking in direction. And then there will be another meeting going on with, about the 20 lot subdivision that's gonna be going over, well, possibly going over, they did all the surveying and stuff like that off 156 on the Raymond-Nottingham line. So, and there's some conceptuals too, so. Building is still going on in Nottingham. Even at interest rates of 7% for new homes, it's not slowing
Okay.
building down,
Yeah.
so.
CIP hasn't met. Anything on Marston?
Nottingham Youth Association purchased the gates for the dugouts, 4 gates, and then also paid to have the weed sprayed for the infield, so we're developing a plan to get those turned, and then there's a dugout build plan every weekend starting September 10th, 9th and 10th, 4 weekends in a row to get all of the dugouts built.
Are you looking for volunteers for that, or do you think you have enough volunteers?
So for the first set, they want to use the 6 or 7 very experienced people. I'll be there to like hand out water, and let them
To set the structure up?
set the structure up, make sure the
Level?
first one, and, well, just make sure that everything works right, and then from there, see if we need to make any adjustments to what we order for the other 3. And then use more people to hopefully get them done in 2 weekends, 3 weekends.
That'd be good.
How big is the dugout?
They are 12 by 14. I believe that's 12 by 14.
Okay. Anything else on Marston? No. All right, town administrator report.
I apologize, it's a little bit brief. I wasn't able to connect with department heads today, just being my first day back from vacation. But just some informational items. Per the Secretary of State's office, effective September 1st, 2023, the state statute requiring a state license for a hawker and peddler or an itinerant vendor has been repealed. Cities and towns may still require a local permit. However, there will be no requirement for a state license. Normally, we require proof of a hawker and peddler license for any vendors that will be present at special events. So would you like to consider adopting a policy and license requirements at the local level, or?
We don't have a policy in town for anybody that's coming in peddling for, or,
We use this, we just required
we
that,
did.
the state was requiring them, but they've repealed it, so they'll no longer be requiring them as of September 1st. So we just went off, if they were licensed through the state, then that's what we took. There are some towns that adopted it at the local level as well.
Why did it get repealed at the state level?
I don't have the details behind why they did it.
I don't know if there was some sort of like conflict that if we did it, we'd be in the same issue that the state was in, or if they just got away with it.
Maybe just passing it down to the local level.
I can't believe we have much.
We don't. So Dale brought it up to me and he said obviously the watercross events would be affected.
Right.
But if you have any food truck vendors that come into town for a special event,
You don't have to have any license, they can just come.
But they're subject to an inspection by a health department, Dale, right?
If they're on a Saturday afternoon and Dale ain't here, they ain't gonna get inspected.
And so this is just for those
Personal
types
fee.
of things at a special event, it doesn't, people go walking door to door or whatever, or.
well, I mean, like
hang out.
technically any type of vendor that is selling a good or a service in town, they should have the hawkers and peddlers, and that's what we've relied on heavily, is just that they're able to provide us with that state license, and if the state's not requiring them now.
And that's for the ice cream truck going up Francesco Way on a Saturday afternoon.
Been seeing that for a while.
No, we're just saying it could happen, I don't know, I don't live there, but.
So I wanted to bring this to your attention because it goes into effect before you meet again. So if your intention is to draft something at the local level, then that would give us some time to start working on it.
Does anybody that, I mean, now I have lots of questions about it, because now I wanna look into it, because I don't know, but you know, is it something that when the people were before coming in front, did the police department get a notice of that, so that they knew what was going around town? So what the,
Probably not.
It's like those people that were selling bug stuff all over the place, like they had like 3 different people over the course of 3 weeks come to my house, trying to get rid of my termites that I don't have.
right,
They would normally require,
No, because they're going door to door, so they wouldn't require that.
okay,
However, if somebody's set up on not a permanent, but set up for the
Stand.
day or the weekend.
yeah.
I think a simple certificate of insurance would be appropriate. Saying that, hey, we got insurance if somebody chokes or gets violently sick from something I've prepared, here's my insurance policy.
can we prohibit people from town property? Like if somebody would come with their own food truck and wanted to set it up, they're not allowed to set it up in our parking lot out here on a
Right.
Saturday,
Right.
because it's town property.
Or you could set some parameters for what would be required in order for them to do so.
So now here's a question for you guys. From all the things we got, where do you rate this on the scale of importance?
Pretty low.
That's, thank you, Steve. That answers that.
Yeah, okay.
Right, I mean, maybe just trying to gather some more information, we can move it on and see if we need to, if it,
Right.
but I
I'd
don't
like
know
to
how
look into it.
enforceable it is, or at least even get, if it's something like,
It's not
who would it go
enforceable
through?
with something in place.
What's that?
It's not enforceable with something in place, without something in place, some type of a policy or,
Right,
right.
we would have to have it.
I think we should look into having some sort of policy, in all honesty.
Okay.
And then it would just be figuring out like, how often would we use it? Like, setting it
Exactly.
up, how much work is
I-
it gonna be for the,
I think we need to better understand how much we're actually impacted by it.
yeah,
If it's like 2 things a year, then I don't think it's, we don't have a fairground, we don't have a.
Exactly. If we had a fairground, if we were doing an old home day where we're inviting outside vendors coming in, if the fire department wants to cook food, they should be exempt from that, or a nonprofit organization be
Right.
exempt. You know, you got the Watercross event, it was probably the only event that happens in town, and that's twice a year, so,
3 times,
3, yeah.
3 times. Excuse me.
coming up this weekend.
But as things change, we could definitely develop some kind of policy. Like I say, a certificate of insurance, I think, is probably ample for what we would be doing here in Nottingham. We don't have parades where people come in with shopping carts and sell balloons and popcorn up and down the street and,
Any more discussion on that? Okay.
The Lamprey River Advisory Committee, each town is allowed up to 4 representatives. We currently have 1 representative, and it's Peter White. They've reached out because they have concern he's been absent from meeting attendance, not participating on the committee, so technically Nottingham doesn't have a voice. They do have money to spend, and they're looking for ideas on how to spend it, so I'm just putting it out there. Anyone with interest in serving as a representative on the Lamprey River Advisory Committee, just reach out to the town office and you can formalize the appointment. I do have a brief overview of what they're responsible for anybody interested, if they want to contact the office.
Read that right? Is it a long thing, or you just?
Well, it's a couple of paragraph.
Well, just so, I mean, anybody that's
Okay.
listening at home or something that would love to know
As a
this.
member of the Lamprey River Advisory Committee, your responsibilities, according to RSA 483:8-A, are to advise the Commissioner of the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services and Statewide Rivers Management Advisory Committee and the municipalities through which the Lamprey River and its designated tributaries flow on matters pertaining to the management of the rivers. To consider and comment on any federal, state, or local governmental plans to approve, license, fund, or construct facilities that would alter the resource, values, and characteristics for which the rivers were designated. 3, develop or assist in the development and local adoption of local river corridor management plan under RSA 483:10. And 4, report biennially to the RMAC and the New Hampshire DES Commissioner on the status of compliance with relevant federal and state laws and regulations, local ordinances, and plans.
This wasn't the Reader's Digest version.
Right. I think that's about it. It does not state,
Did the Conservation Commission get this report also?
we just received it today, so it is going to the Conservation Commission. They're supposed to be meeting tonight. So I'm not sure when what the meeting date and location requirements are, but we can, of course, get that for anybody interested. And we are still seeking a representative to serve on Stratford Metropolitan Organization's Technical Advisory Committee. This was presented to, I want to say, back toward the end of July. Nobody has stepped forward, and they're just reaching out to see if we have anybody with interest to serve as Nottingham's representative. So, again, if anyone's interested in serving, reach out to the town office and we can give you more information. I would just like to thank Ben Bartlett and his crew. They've done a wonderful job clearing away the trees and brush that have overgrown the space surrounding the town hall and police department. This was noted as an area of concern for our current pest problem. Obviously, if critters have the ability to migrate closer to the building when it gets colder, or environment change, then they look for access points into a warm feeding locations. So not only has it opened up some great daylight to the building, but it also shed some light on improvements that are long overdue with the building as well, so.
Did you see a lot of evidence of rodents or creatures?
Yeah, you can see some of that as you're cleaning up and all
There's a
that.
lot of nesting, especially
Yeah.
along the exterior of the older portion.
I knocked down a lot of that today, a matter of fact, on that side, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Ben.
Ben.
So with that being said, we've entered into a more aggressive management plan to deal with our pest issues within the town hall and police department. The treatment started last Friday and will hopefully take care of the issues the police department's been experiencing over the past month.
Did they ever find anything?
I don't know,
No,
Actually,
however,
just-
I think what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to start opening up ceilings in there. There's still, I was just in there today, as a matter of fact, we're still seeing,
there is
Insects.
evidence of nesting, so there is a problem.
Yeah.
They've been pulling down a lot of the old insulation and other,
yeah, it's just drenched with urine and feces, all that stuff, so.
I spoke with Town Clerk Larry Anderson regarding the placement of the POW MIA Chair of Honor, as far as putting it in her office as being probably the most frequented office in the building. We've agreed on a location in the far right corner, so I will be ordering flags, some stanchions to kind of block it off so nobody tries to sit on it, and a memorial plaque so we can get it placed, and then arrange for a formal dedication ceremony with Rolling Thunder in attendance.
Awesome.
So I'll be working on that for next month. I have a draft started of the website and hyperlink policy that I presented to you for consideration about a month or two back. I will be forwarding that for review and consideration at the next meeting on September 11th. The request for proposal for the dry hydrant installation on Kennard was not distributed because additional specifications were needed in order to draft a formal proposal request. I didn't have any of the specifications of how the hydrant's gonna be to be installed. I did meet with Matt Curry this morning, and he seemed to think that there was only specifications available for the cisterns, so I've pulled together some information from some other RFPs that have been circulated, and I'll get that out. And what I'll do is I'll put in the bid opening for the next meeting on September 11th. Owen Friend Gray is offered his assistance with initiating a road safety audit at the intersection of 156 Deerfield and Lidge Farm, just as a result of the recent accident history. I know that it's been a problem intersection for a long time, but where it is a state intersection, with his assistance in doing this road safety audit, we might be able to get some improvements made that would be state funded. So just something to increase the visibility and hopefully stop the number of accidents and hopefully not have any more dust there. The town's asset management program that was presented at the last meeting by John Jackman was deemed complete and approved by New Hampshire DES on August 7th. The final disbursement request for this project has been processed and is scheduled to be paid to the town on August 23rd. So that will wrap up that, and we will end up on a $30,000 project paying a mere $300 in interest for the complete asset management program. We ended up getting a tablet, a laptop, a work order program implemented that's used daily at the highway department. So it was a great program to initiate and follow through with. Some upcoming important dates. The budget committee, I believe, I said September 7th, which I think is a Thursday. So that will be their first meeting of the year. September 11th is your next Board of Selectmen meeting, and September 19th, we have the general election coming up. And lastly, there was a lot of email correspondence that came in while I was away, primarily from Jay Vilchok. I had drafted a response to an email of July 31st, which I gave to you, feedback to see if there's any changes, if you want it sent. And then the question is there any response warranted to the other emails that were received, dated 8/9 through 8/17? All of which you were copied on.
I was fine with the draft that you presented.
Okay,
The draft you said over today was fine, answering the questions.
Yeah.
okay.
That's adequate enough.
I agree.
And I will just need a non-public at the end, please.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Action items reviewed from last meeting. One of them's here, well, he was here. Talked about a lot of stuff last meeting.
You did.
Rodent issue, which it's addressed. No, anything, nothing else? Steve?
I think we're good. I mean,
Tim? Matt?
I think we went through everything that
All right, assessing.
make a motion to, accept the timber yield tax for map 49, lot 48.
4-6.
Map 46, lot 48.
Second.
Steve Welch made the motion, Tim DeBrio seconded, roll call.
Aye, Steve Welch.
Hi, John Warren.
Ivan Bartlett.
I, Tim DeBrio.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
There were 2 petition poll license applications that were added into the folder. They weren't added to the agenda, but they were for Eversource to install 2 new utility poles at 2 different locations. One of them is from May and the other one is more recent, but those should be acted on.
Okay.
The other one was on Guile.
Were just old, or were they taken out, or so, or?
The town clerk wasn't familiar with what she was supposed to be doing with them, so technically, anytime they put a new utility pole or conduit or anything like that within the town, they're supposed to file for this license, and it prompts the assessing to pick it up for valuation.
Okay, I don't, is it in one of these folders?
I believe so.
I don't have
You don't remember seeing them?
anything. I don't have anything.
Okay.
No.
If not, they might just have to hold until the next meeting.
Is it a,
I mean, they strictly just want to set 2 poles.
Correct.
Right.
So do we need to hold it?
I don't think we should.
No, but they do need to be signed, so.
other than,
Is this something where, oh, here it is. Yeah, it just needs to be signed? Okay. Something that, we don't need a motion for this, we can just sign it, right? Everybody's good with that?
Absolutely.
All right,
One less pole to come down in this winter storm.
sign at the end. All right, anything else? Okay. All right, Mr. Bassett, 7 o'clock, we'll do a little early.
it's 7 o'clock exact?
Yeah, well, I guess,
Evan Bassett, 101 Shore Drive. And Jim Franklin, Franklin Associates.
welcome.
There you go, looking at me.
Well, I'm gonna defer to you, John, because you are the most knowledgeable when it comes to the planning board.
So I looked up a couple of things, Kevin. And again, I believe, I'm just gonna recap for everybody before we are. We are here to help decide on what the road is for supposed width, because it's never been defined, current location, because that's the old plan from whenever it was, is some of the things aren't accurate. And the purpose of getting it resurveyed was to clarify where the road stands and where the property, you know, how far it is from the properties on the lake, and just to have it all squared off. Am I correct?
Correct.
That is the reason we're going for it, okay. So
And the
Lee,
addition of that one section that had the name change post, it's the same road, but they had that, the name was changed, I think, to Channel? Channel, yeah, it's the same road.
Right.
A section of it got changed to Channel, but it's still the same length.
right. So, I went back through and I looked at, now, one thing to consider here, he's not, so when somebody refers to like how big we should make the road or doing like this, he is technically not subdividing anything on his property. He's just literally, again, correct me if I'm wrong on this, from what I think is what you're doing, is you're trying to interpret where the road is, where the boundaries of the properties are towards the road, so that where the road goes and your land all around those roads, you know where it is, or what the lines are and where everything's gonna be. So from a thing too, was the original plan from, I forgot when, indicated that the road width was 33 feet or so, right? The original plan of when the thing came in. Now, as we have the discussion, again, this is stuff that's been going through my mind, as we have the discussion of like, well, how big is this road supposed to be, or how big, since it's now a town road, could Mr. Bassett possibly, say, the road is where the road is, measure from the end of dirt, if it's 16 feet, it's 16 feet. Now, that doesn't benefit us in the town. And I think what you're trying to do is be gracious to the town on what you're gonna give for the width of the road, not to exceed a extraordinary amount, but for adequate, for future snow removal, pushing snow, that the town has enough room on the road to make it and keep it a nice passable road.
Trees and culvert included.
Right. So, I brought this up in front of the, it was just a question asked in front of the planning board. And then one of the guys on the board referred me to our Nottingham zoning ordinance, and on what you would do for a brand new subdivision. This is why I bring this up, where the planning board, and again, I disagree with them at times too, because again, this stuff can be interpretation, is gonna say that he should make that road a 50-foot right-of-way. All right, but then they do write in there, so this is where the 33 feet's gonna come in, so hold on, I'm getting to a point here, so before don't jump down on what I'm saying for where it is.
You have the floor.
There is a part in here where they call it rights of way. No street or highway right-of-way shall be less than 50 feet in width for a right-of-way. That's not actually the road itself, right? But they put a condition in here, what you go, in which case a minimum right-of-way shall be 36 feet. So where he stands right now on a 33-foot plan is pretty close to where the 36, which they're allowing if he was supposed to do a new subdivision. Again, since he's not doing a subdivision, he really shouldn't have to abide by these plans, all right? But from what he sounds like he's trying to do and be helpful to the town of Nottingham, by making sure the road's a decent width for future purposes, you can see where that 33 and 36 are pretty close to where they would give an exception for that, all right? So then you go to another section here, which is the ordinance, and this came out of subdivisions, and I use that because that's the only thing we have for roads, to go on. So you gotta look at a couple criteria when you actually do a road. The daily traffic use, on a road, and the number of dwellings. Now, the traffic use on this road is not very high, but the number of dwellings, if you counted every one on there, I think exceeds 40, but I'd have to go back and recheck. 7 to 40 is minor, 40 to 41's major. Well, the surface width of the road they're requiring on a road that has 7 to 40 houses is only 18 feet wide. All right? And his plans are already talking about the 33. And then if you want a major, it's only 20 feet. And then they tell you to, the shoulder width, 2 feet, 4 feet, they actually talk about what you should have a little more. So, in my interpretation of what Mr. Bassett is, I don't know if we came out, because I wasn't at the last meeting, but we came out to official number of how wide he's willing to set that road. The road, not saying the road's gonna have to be that wide, but how much leeway in land will he give the road for when he does a subdivision, in order for the town to say, this is our right-of-way of the town. The town has 30 feet on this road as it goes through the woods. Even though the road's only, at spots, 16 feet wide, 18. But the future is that the town has the 30 feet right-of-way. Since we don't have that specifically mentioned when the town voted to accept these roads, and there was nothing mentioned on it, we probably should look towards the fact of the
33 feet or around that number, because again, we don't know if that's accurate, things have changed, the roads changed course, some of the roads not where it shows on the original plan, because it's moved, lot lines moving into the road, I mean, there's tons of little variations, obviously, you're well aware of those, you know, and looking to correct them, I take it.
Yes, and it's, the original is shown and the new is shown.
So any questions?
Well, I just had one, that if we decide on a width, now we're gonna be setting the precedence on these other roads that were accepted. And that is something that will need to be addressed as we move forward.
Not exactly, because it can be considered a case-by-case basis since
Okay.
they're all different. And they're all owned by different people.
Well, now they're owned by the town.
Well, again, the land on the other side of the roads.
Yeah.
You know, again, we don't, the town technically right now, still to this day, doesn't know what we own we own the dirt path that the car can drive on. Nothing says in there that we own the 5 feet where there is no dirt driving on, or 5 feet on this side where there is no driving on, which if it was a brand new subdivision, those are already in there. But we can't do that because these are already town roads.
But on this one, we can, because it says in the original plan that it's 33 feet.
Again, that's where, if he wants to say, hey, the road's 33 feet, goes, this is a plan of width, I don't see where we should be saying no to that.
What I don't wanna happen, personally, is I'm fine with the 33-foot width, but heaven forbid, if you subdivide, it's not gonna be my problem to make that road
Well,
a
technically,
two-lane highway.
but technically, if it's already a town road.
It is.
So, I mean, he could literally, again, these are just hypothetical conversations, because he's not here for a subdivision.
I know.
And we're not dealing with subdivision, that's the planning board's issue. We're just here trying to evaluate the size of the road, that's our issue, is because it's at the town road. If he goes to subdivide, I mean, technically, he can cut off parcels whatever size he wants. Mm-hmm. He can cut off 1 year, he can cut off a parcel, and then 2 years later, he can cut off another parcel, and he could do it that way, and then nothing has to happen to the road. Because it's not a subdivision unless you're doing over 3 houses.
In what period of time?
One time, right?
I think at one time, yeah.
Time.
So, John, with your experience with the board and with the plan of 33 feet,
I think we should be thankful for what he gives us to making that road potentially in the future wider. Whatever he's gonna put on his deeded plan is a benefit for the town, because he could, right now, since we don't have a rule, he could say that the road is only 16 feet wide, and that's all the town's ever gonna get on his deeded plans, and then we're gonna have to fight for the fact of saying, no, it's supposed to be this. Now we're going against probably trying to take land from him. Now, I don't know if that's exactly the situation, how it would unfold, but again, I'm not a lawyer to this situation, but when he sends his plans that he gets all redone and certified to where the road is on his property and deeded in and surveyed, then we, as a town, now we're gonna have to fight against what he's already done. That's not beneficial.
no.
It's better to work with him.
I have a comment about this. I have not found anything allowing the people, the citizens of a town, to take land from a private landowner and give it to the Board of Selectmen. I have not found any court cases or any statutes regarding that. Now, that was one thing that we
I'm
brought
not
up.
asking you to give us any.
Pardon?
We were just.
Yeah, well, this is, I think, for the petition. Did you give them the petition?
I have not given them the petition yet. I am
There is.
getting prepared to do so.
Yes, the statutes are very clear about if a person wants a road to go from point A to point B, they petition the Board of Selectmen, they submit it in writing, the Board of Selectmen considers it, and if the Board of Selectmen agree, then they order that road to be laid out as it was petitioned. If the Board of Selectmen say, no, we think it should go from point A to A1 to B1, that's their prerogative. And then they say how wide the right-of-way is. How wide is the road going to be? If you look back through the the old layouts. They'll say whether it was 3 rods wide, 4 rods wide, maybe 2 rods wide in some cases. And at the end of that.
What's a
they were-
rod?
Pardon?
What's a rod? considered
16
a
and a
lane?
half,
Okay,
in most cases. There are some others, but yeah,
It's a
usually
lane.
16 and a half.
It's a lane.
I never heard the term rod used in a building,
Yeah.
so to me, that's,
We can't get them mixed
I
up
learned
with-
something new today, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's the same as a pole.
Okay.
And it's also the same as a perch, but not for Tweety birds. Yeah. They have this prerogative, you know, once the selectmen lay out the road, they do it in writing formally, and you have the option of an easement, creating an easement, 33 feet wide, 25, 50. And if the Board of Selectmen feel it's warranted, they take the land, they take the fee, and they award damages to the landowner. I think if you go back through your town records, you'll see these things in writing, and the statutory requirements are the same. The Board of Selectmen has this prerogative. So what Kevin has talked about is the town meeting said, they list the roads and said these are now town roads, as is, where is. And Kevin has realized that this 16, 12, whatever, width of these gravel, dirt, mud roads sometimes is not adequate as a town road. And what he's doing is saying to the town, this I think is adequate, but then we get into these gray areas where, and I don't know board members, I don't think anybody's an attorney, I'm not an attorney, and so I always have to be cautious about giving legal advice. And that's why I went through and I prepared that letter using excerpts from that book, Hard Road to Travel, which was written by attorneys, which is a summary of all the road laws in the state. So that's where we are. Now, I don't know if a petition, I think I've talked with Kevin about it, and I said, petition the Board of Selectmen to lay out the roads as is, where is, just as the warrant article states. And then whether it's a fee
That's the original signed.
or it's an easement will be up to the Board of
Can I
Selectmen.
hand them, or we can just pass them along? Then you don't have to worry about tripping over lives. Okay. Thank you.
I think I made note in my letter there that that publication, Hard Road to Travel, there was a footnote in there that said they have not found anything that prohibits one person from petitioning the Board of Selectmen to lay out a road. Unlike town meetings, which when they discontinue the road, the townspeople say, we no longer want a road in this location, we don't need it, we discontinue it, and then it becomes done. But the fee ownership is what's in question here. Who owns the soil? And I don't believe that the townspeople have the authority to deed that land or to give it, take it from Kevin and give to the Board of Selectmen or the townspeople.
So with that precedence, I've just assumed that I own the land under the road, and I'd submit to a 25-foot easement, split at the center on all the roads, and there are a few exceptions that'll be
I brought
Pointed out on
a
a-
drawing, which I've stamped and signed, which shows the location of the roads per our surveys and the dates, you know, the months that they were located during, the size of them. I can give the board this plan as part of the petition, although it's not noted in it, but it would certainly clarify things.
and then the answers from the attorney. The answers from the attorney.
Yes. Yeah. It would be a help if we had the town attorney's letter, so we know how to proceed with these.
Now, how much of this road do you own, Kevin?
How much?
Of the property, of your property, does this road go through?
All of it.
Well, there are 4 specific roads,
Are they all on your property?
in part, yes.
Well, the
For
majority,
instance,
The majority of them are?
Yes.
for instance, the end of Dolph is on my property, but not the beginning, that's for instance.
Okay.
But they're here in this dock. Dolph, Lamprey, Indian,
Right, I haven't
and
seen the
and the new channel.
survey map of whose land is
Yeah,
whose.
I have that. Yep. If you would like to see it, I'll give it to you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not bring small copies, but it's
It's
basically
okay,
the same
I like
one.
big copies.
Yeah.
I wear the
I
cheetahs just like
understand.
you.
I got magnifying glass. Basically, it's the same drawing, and I've colored it. It shows the proposed easement or right-of-way line being 25 feet wide, and that line is in red. The green line I've shown for Lamprey Drive is where it was originally dedicated as a town road on the original subdivision plan, but it was not built in that location. We're getting into areas like a prescriptive easement. People that use a piece, or use a portion of land. If I go from point A to point B for a period of 20 years and I need that route, it can turn into what's called a prescriptive easement. But it still needs, in some cases, it still needs to have, I say, perfected by a court. It's like we do a survey around Kevin's property, and we find out there is a road that goes through there, and nobody knows the source of it. Nobody knows where it comes from. We find parallel stone walls that are 33 feet apart. We have to go and find that. Whatever is required, we have to go find that. How did that road come to be? And who has the right to use it and doesn't have the right to use it? For example, we're just finishing one in Raymond now on the old Fremont Road. And we researched back, 1752, the town of Chester laid out a highway 66 feet wide from the Exeter town line to the 2 mills on the Lamprey River. That's all it is. There's no bearings, no distances, nothing. And so that's what we're charged with, trying to identify that on the ground. Yeah. Again, we're here looking for guidance. How do we proceed at this point? You know, that idea that these roads were created as Class 5 roads by the town meeting. I think one might consider that as a petition by the citizens of the town to lay out these roads in that location, as is where is. And then it's up to the Board of Selectmen to say, what do we do with these now? And I think that's kind of where we are.
Yep.
So I want to thank the board for the conceptual meetings that we've had in the past. And I just thought that this petition would possibly get things, I'll say, in a formal sense.
Same. And then just, originally it was 33, but you're suggesting 25.
Only on the original Lamprey Drive, as shown on the original subdivision. That was 33.
Okay.
The original Lamprey.
Yes, that's the green line is the original Lamprey Drive layout.
And everything in red, you were saying 25?
Yes.
Now, the Lamprey Drive in red, that also got renamed to Channel Road, that was never part of the subdivision?
Correct.
That was just a road at the time, and then they got to the end. and
I
they-
don't know when that started.
It was Lamprey before it was Channel.
Yeah, but
Right.
when was that road first started? Who built it? I have not found any information about that. I am assuming that it was built by the landowner to serve the lots that he created. I'm assuming that. I don't know that.
We had a a butter, Mr. Bernard, and he actually built part of the road. He told us that,
He's older than I am?
yes. I believe so, but, to access his camp down at, it's approximately, 20, lot 20, something like that. John, when I did a quick count, I counted 28, lots
It's a minor local street.
that are here, plus or minus one or two.
And so if you looked at minor local street on a subdivision plan, it should be 22 feet with the shoulders. So 25, he's definitely got still.
So I thought it was a reasonable compromise.
There was on that original subdivision plan, which you can get a copy of, and if I didn't provide a copy to the town, I apologize.
No,
It's
no,
on file
you
at the
did.
registry, okay. And on there is a notation that is signed by the Board of Adjustment. We don't know what that was. We've searched for, 2 years now, asked town staff, did anyone have any information about this? Now, maybe there's still someone in the town that was on the Board of Adjustment at that time who might remember why that plan was necessary. I don't know. It could be perhaps that there was lot sizing. It could be the width of the road. It could be because there was not a planning board. Those things all are possibilities.
Most likely not a planning board. A lot of those lake roads were developed, those things were developed before the planning board was in existence. And typically were signed off by the board of selectmen,
Yes, yep,
as you described.
yep.
So typically at some of the roads too, they were just paths that went down. They weren't even roads, and all the guy was doing was taking the lots on the water and cutting them off at 75 by 100 or 2 or whatever the person wanted to buy at the time, and that's how
Well,
they.
except in Kevin's case.
His case is
Except in
different.
these are all mathematically done by a licensed land surveyor it has bearings and distances on all of them. And, I've only found one area that seems to be mathematically wrong, and that's the area to the east, northeast of these lots. What is that? I can't read it. It's too small. It's the upper end.
Watch this.
Upper end, I would say, upper end. This area in here, mathematically, that's lot 15, 19, and they just, I don't know what's wrong up there. Peter Landry did surveying in this area, and his mathematics agree with my mathematics. We know what these monuments, the iron pins, rebars, things like that, pipes, we know what they are intended to mark, and without being in consultation with them, I think it's fair to say that these lots exist, regardless of how the mathematics are.
That was during the Wasson, lot line adjustment back a couple of years ago, is when Mr. Lamprey was surveying.
Okay, well, way over your time limit here, but, again, John, with your expertise on the planning board, I would refer to you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I mean, again,
So is the intent of the petition, going back to what you said, is that the town's warrant article did not compensate the landowner because the roads were given to the town, but there wasn't a fee, so was this expecting a change too in?
Yes, I believe it would be like a,
An addendum?
well, crossing the Ts, dotting the Is, and saying, Mr. Bassett is willing to give this easement to the town and define the width of it. Where the townspeople don't have that authority on a road of this type. No different than any state route. If the people that live along the state route say, okay, we want to widen this road and we're going to give the land to the Board of Selectmen, can't do it because they don't own it. And that's when we get back into the fees, you know, the actual fee. Who owns this soil?
That's gonna take another part we're gonna have to get.
So I'm willing to own it so that you don't have to pay me a fee.
In the class 5 road, a class 5 road can be an easement, it can be fee. If you have to go back to each layout to know whether it is an easement or it's a fee. And in fee taking, the landowner is awarded damages by the Board of Selectmen. If it's an easement, there's no need to award damages. And that's what we have here.
Okay. The other thing that I think we're asking the board, Ellen, if I'm correct, the board needs to vote in order for us to get the lawyer's, specifics that you were describing to us.
The board does not need to vote, we would actually need to get permission from the attorney to distribute it. Her email is exempt from disclosure under 91A, so it would be at her disclosure.
And the purpose to have that, Jim, is that you would want to put that on record on that drawing.
Well, the reason we submitted the board suggested we submit our questions rather than coming in here and saying this, that, and the other thing. So we did that. And then the board said, we're gonna give it to the town council and have them provide answers. That's where the information stopped flowing. We don't have answers. We don't know the town attorney's position regarding, say, example, the existing Lamprey Drive that was laid out by subdivision. The statutes are very clear. A person that is bounded by, along, and to conveys title to the center of the road unless expressly excluded by deed, and in this case, there was a subdivision, so there was no exclusion. That strip of land, 33 feet wide, shown on the subdivision plan, was not deeded by the landowner who subdivided it to the town. So if the position could be, well, then that original landowner or his heirs and assigns still owns that 33-foot strip. And then you would have these strips of land all over town being taxed to the original landowner, which makes no sense. You can't go back and tax a family from a road they laid out in 1950, 50 feet wide. You're gonna have these little parcels of land, little strips of land everywhere being assessed. It's kind of like accessing the utility companies for the telephone pole, utility pole. It was tried and it was thrown out. You can't do it. Yeah, so and again, these are things that I've come across during my time as a licensed surveyor, and all I can do is just ask questions to the board and hope we get attorneys, hope we get a town council response that gives us some direction.
The more, now from everything he just said, now I'm more confused than when I thought I was coming in there with a great idea.
We were
Now you
prepared
just-
to like do something tonight, and this just throws a monkey wrench in the whole thing.
The petition to, in the, so it's something on it.
We don't know how to proceed. I mean, I could take a chance, put a boundary survey on file at the registry of deeds, they would send a copy here to the town, and then probably all hell would break loose.
Why?
Because the planning board will say, that's a subdivision. They didn't get subdivision approval.
How can they, again, that's where you throw me, how can they call it a subdivision?
It's not, but sir, you could, some people could say this is a subdivision, and my position is that the townspeople already said, these are town roads. There is no subdivision,
Exactly, there is
Yeah.
no subdivision.
but there's no width. There's no, as is, where is, I can draw a plan showing these are the existing town roads, as is, where is, and this is the width of them, and these are now town roads, without benefit of a selectman's layout.
Who's,
It is a confusing thing. This is the first time this is going through this way. And I understand the board thinking precedent. What do we do with these other roads?
who's paying your fee to have this survey done?
And it's written in that document.
Not coming out of our pockets,
No. It's already been
That's-
paid for.
a concern.
The only thing that has not been paid for yet is the actual putting meets and bounds on the roads. How wide and bearings, distances, curves, things like that.
And the actual registration thereof.
Yeah.
So this petition, you want to keep ownership of it and just provide an easement.
Offering to keep ownership.
So we're going to,
Offering to keep the ownership.
Yeah.
so we're going to continue maintaining someone else's property, snow plowing, grading, and all that.
The town or the state doesn't own underneath all these roads. No one owns the land under these roads.
They do, as a surveyor, I can tell you, every piece of soil is owned by somebody.
Somebody.
It's a matter of
But-
spending the money to find out who owns it.
But it's few and far between that it's the town. It's usually private landowners.
Correct. All of those camp roads are owned by somebody and not the town.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Like I said, we were prepared as a board tonight to make a decision and move forward. But in light of this new information, it's really, in the petition here, it's really throwing a monkey wrench into this.
In light of the petition,
I mean, he wants to, I'm of the mindset, 25 feet wide, but he wants to maintain, ownership of this property. And this is where I'm struggling, because this is, not my area of expertise, and it's why I defer so much to John, because.
Something new every day.
Yeah, and believe me, this is mind-boggling. He's got the most experience on the planning committee.
But this is not a traditional.
No, it's not.
This is nothing normal. I've never seen this before in my life, so this is.
No, this goes back to the warrant article, and it's still, and it's not even, you're the first to ask the question, really.
The warrant article didn't tell it, the warrant article didn't say that the town owns these roads now. The town just, it didn't say we own the land on the road, it says we accept the road as it is.
As town roads, as is, where is.
Which means that you own them.
Right.
They are class 5, you're responsible for maintaining.
Do we own the dirt underneath the road?
no.
no.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I'm
And
talking
they
about.
weren't identified as class 5 roads either, it's gonna be town roads, which implies class 5, and that the town maintained them.
You have an easement.
But that's all it is. It was the same as the emergency lane, it means nothing. It's a bunch of bull.
Should have stayed as emergency lanes in my personal.
First chapter.
Yeah, we can go back and change it.
Well, you can.
Take a warrant article and change it.
The warrant article was a petition warrant article from the public. Unfortunately, it means a lot to the people who petition, but you guys don't really have to do anything with it. Because realistically, as you said, anything you do is illegal because it's taking of someone else's property. And that someone else's property, in this case, may just be Kevin's, but there's a shitload of people down there whose properties now have to be analyzed and evaluated.
The topic's covered in the first chapter of A Hard Road to Follow. The town has an easement, the town does not own this property.
But that, you have to read the entire document to know where that is contradicted.
It's contradicted all over the place.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I said, there's two ways to lay out the road, either by fee or by easement. And to me, it,
They should have been laid out before they were accepted.
Yeah, but that was in the old days.
no, that's, right, that's on a subdivision road. Acceptance, that dedication and acceptance, those are subdivision roads. That's not in this situation. The townspeople said these are class 5 roads, as is where is.
It could have been back then, but that wasn't something that happened back then.
So all we're trying to do is get clarification of how do we proceed? What is the board's preference? To, go along with the petition? Can you change the petition? You can say, we agree, we want the easement to be 33 feet wide. Or we want the fee. We're gonna take this land, as shown on this drawing, 33 feet wide, or 25 feet wide. And then I think you're required to pay damages. But I don't know that because this town meeting directive is, I think, altogether new. I have not come across it anywhere.
We are in uncharted waters right now in regards to this. I mean,
That's why we asked the questions to the town council, and we were hoping to get a response.
If there is an existing layout, and it's signed by the Board of Adjustment or the Board of Selectmen, that constitutes the capability for a town easement on whatever that plan said. As with Lake Shore Drive, if I said it that right, correct, all the way down Mountain Road, we went through that with those people because they were trying to get out of the mode of emergency lane and all that kind of stuff when I was on the planning board. The reality was they had a plan that was signed by the Board of Selectmen prior to the existence of the planning board. And all the rules and regulations go with the planning board. So Lake Shore Drive, again, if I'm saying that right, is a public road, not a private road. All the rest of these, I shouldn't say all the rest, the majority that I'm aware of are all private roads that are owned by somebody and no easement was provided.
Have you looked into what happened with the town of Derry when the Rockingham Superior Court said made the town accept the roads? Under similar circumstances. The Rainbow Lake roads.
We'll have to review that. I don't think we're ready to adequately give you an answer today, because obviously more questions are now up than answers.
Well, what are the questions we have?
We need to,
And we need to define those too, for we're gonna have questions on it.
it's gonna have to go back and determine the applicability of the warrant article to items such as this petition.
And I have a question. Did the town attorney specifically say that Mr. Bassett cannot have a copy?
Yes.
Okay. Then we have to do our best to guess at what his answers in the town's position is. Without direction from the Board of Selectmen, I don't know how we can proceed.
But you plan on revisiting that?
I think we can present more specifics now
Yes.
to the attorney
Yeah.
with this petition and have a discussion.
I feel like they need to almost watch the video to hear your statements as well, just to.
I know, yeah.
No,
I tend to
it's all very well,
ramble.
from everything from Skip,
Yeah.
even Doug's part, everything, I mean, this is obviously, everything you're mentioning is all the information that we are going to have to find out to move forward for anybody else, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that nothing of this is not right to ask, it's just, where exactly are we to move forward? We don't know that, because we thought we knew. I've heard the dedication and acceptance, and it's trying to figure out, does that apply or not apply here?
It does not apply. It's only for subdivision roads. Shown on a plan.
The only thing we're fortunate here, it's 99% of the road is owned by Mr. Bassett. Unlike some of the other roads, there's apt to be 20, 30 landowners to a road.
If their property goes into the middle of the road. Because the road wasn't placed in the right
His
spot.
petition may be fully valid, but then if we accept the petition, does that start challenging the warrant article, and then that brings another question, says.
So what I'm gathering out of this tonight, is that we have, once again,
Well, that was, if I may, specific to that, that's question number one.
Correct.
And that's why we'll ask, looking to get the answer. Because that's specifically what it says.
Right.
It says the roads, the words were transferred. And we just want clarification that that really meant maintenance and general repair only. Transferred implies ownership to the town. And I don't think from the town perspective, you wanna own these roads.
I wanna give them back to you,
Well,
be quite honest with you.
Well, I think I already own them, so, and that's what I'm offering to maintain, is chooses to continue to own the road.
But with us
Give you an
maintaining it.
easement at no cost. If you really want this road, make me a real good offer. I'm not, I shouldn't be facetious here.
That would be very good either.
Yeah, I don't think that's a non-starter, in my opinion.
I don't think that's a very good starter either.
If I understood it right, Kevin owns 99% of the road.
Well, there are 4 specific roads.
The property that goes through,
One road is Dolph Dam from the Tower Road.
Yeah.
And probably, 75% of that, I don't know. But it's just the last little piece up to the dam.
Okay.
But the other roads, lot 25 encompasses the other 3 roads in their entirety.
Okay. And do those, are your roads that you have ownership of connect to other roads that you don't own, except on the Dollar Dam?
No, it's right up the lake.
So he could call all of that private road and get the hell out of the town aspect of it.
The warrant article says otherwise.
Yeah.
we could at a town
We're way
meeting.
Oh, no, I understand, I understand.
More
That
and more
doesn't make
convoluted.
necessarily that the warrant article was put together correctly.
I don't disagree.
We could get one road out.
Always petition to discontinue it.
See, and again, I'm just gonna speak because this is on top of my head, so I don't, when we go over this whole conversation here, this piece of land that we're talking about, which is the road, now, you might think it has value to you, right? But it has value to everybody that needs that road in order to get their property.
Thus,
That's where the value of the road comes in.
that's where it
Right.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It is no. So whatever we're asking of you, or whatever you're asking of us on the 25 feet, 30 feet, or whatever, should be fairly simple as whether we do it as an easement, even though I don't know why we need an easement since we already accepted the roads, but again,
Because we
that
don't
might be
own.
the only part. Do we not own them or do we now own them? Because if we technically don't own them, then what are we doing maintaining them?
We're
Now,
right back.
now, does that go against the,
That,
If
that
you're
line
gonna
seven
talk
goes against the
easement,
warrant.
then every one of those lots that are off of those roads need to have something reflected in their deed that says they have a right to pass across that.
but I think they already do.
None of them do.
None of them do?
None of them do.
It was created as if it was
But,
a.
no, you said by deed,
By
and
deed.
by deed,
I've never
none of them
looked at it,
have the
so-
right to pass and repass over these roads.
Right.
That's why I said, they are prescriptive easements. They are necessary for the enjoyment of their land. And it's like what would happen if Kevin put a barricade just across Dolph Dam Road? What would happen to all those people? Where would they start to complain?
They're gonna drive down Shore Drive and go find his house.
They will, but they would also come here. They would also come here to the Board of Selectmen. They'd call the police, and there would be lawsuits flying back and forth. And that's what I'm saying, these things are settled many years ago, in many court cases. These are prescriptive easements. These people all have the right to use them. And the townspeople said, we want the Board of Selectmen to be responsible for maintaining them, as is Ware is. And all we're trying to do is to clarify how wide is that responsibility of the selectmen.
As is where is.
And what?
Right now, it's exactly where the road sits.
As is where.
And who are the owners?
Or it's where the map says the road is.
Say what?
No, because that isn't how it was written. It was written as,
The road goes where the people have to go through it, so if it becomes a mud puddle, the road changes in width, it changes its location. If a rock appears, because we have rocks here, the same kind of thing happens.
So what I think the questions we need to find out from the attorney is that whether we go into an agreed easement of this property with Kevin, the town goes, I mean, once you're in an easement breaking, it's probably impossible, whether it's gonna be broken or not, but
and what the width of the road should be for that easement. That's really the two questions that we're basically asking for. If we're going into doing an easement.
Binding aspect of the warrant article is.
But again, for the retrospect of everybody that voted for that article, I don't think they care, as long as the access is still there and the plowing of the road happens, and then it gets graded every now and then, they can give
And you're absolutely correct.
They don't
They
care.
want the roads plowed, period.
So-
But now they're gonna ask for more. I'm not saying.
Well, that might not be the case, that's speculation.
Then maybe,
No, we are
Maybe not.
receiving,
When the mud puddle gets deep enough, they'll be calling. for
they are
paving.
calling.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, give me their number, let me know who's calling, give them my number.
So you wanna open
Right, so-
that Pandora's box?
I don't care.
we're way over on this. I am guessing once again, we're at an impasse as far as giving these folks guidance on where to go. Because now we have more questions raised and we need to talk to the attorney again. Is that where we're at?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, again,
would
if
you
this
be
sets
re-
precedent, maybe we should see all these roads that, you know,
Yes.
we go forward, should we take all the roads as easements?
Would you be inviting the town council to come into your selectmen's meeting in an executive session, so you can all ask your questions at the same time and all hear the answers at the same time?
That is
My
what I,
trust, my pretty far and few between, but whatever.
okay. Gentlemen, I'm sorry for wasting your time tonight.
No, it's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of time at all. I understand, Kevin understands, we're breaking new ground here on
Yeah,
this.
we are.
Yep, unfortunately.
Actually, I appreciate all of your.
Well, at least we got more
Considerable time
input
put in
what you're
because
looking for
it's-
today. We got more
It's-
input as
yeah.
to what you are actually looking for.
It's not going away. The warrant article is,
Maybe we can learn something for the next time this happens for another road.
but it is an iceberg.
There's always gonna be that one road that starts it, and looks like yours is gonna be it.
Well, I knew
Yeah.
that, with eyes going in wide open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
So we might have an answer on the original, in a few days, Ellen?
That is correct. You're welcome.
Thank you all.
Skip? I apologize for the delay.
No problem.
He was quite active in the
That
other.
was fun.
I'm an ex-planning board
It's
member.
definitely a
Says
learning,
who?
it's a learning, experience, that's for sure.
I did the Morris Road review through the registry and everything else. And I cannot tell you who owns that road at this point in time, but there is one lot on that area that owns the road,
That one lot?
one lot.
Wow.
I don't know which one it is, because I can't get the ownership taken care of correctly. But every one of those roads tends to have one owner.
Gotta start from somewhere, right?
Yep.
Well, cause that was the original owner of all the property
Yeah.
before other things went. Well, it kinda happened on White's Grove, you had the same thing there.
Same
is that
thing.
White's owned all the land on the road, and they
Yep.
put their lots all around there, and they had the road going down the middle.
Yep.
And then
Right.
everybody had access over that road to get to
Correct.
things. Same as probably happened on Morris.
Yep. All of them, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, same thing happened over off Cahill's over on, I'm not Cahill's, over on, well, you could probably use Cahill's as an
Seaman's
example. You could
Point.
use-
The problem with the tax maps is you can't tell
accurate.
which road, which lot doesn't have a line between it and the road, and that's the one that owns it. Wherever, anyway,
Pull every single deed to find out where it is, you'd have to go and.
yeah,
Proceed,
it's
Skip.
fun. All right, unfortunately, you guys know why I'm here. I'm still having real troubles trying to figure out what happened in regards to the fire chief. You guys put out an official statement that is, thank you. I mean, it's now a technical document that can be reviewed and that kind of stuff. But I have questions. The first one appears in the first sentence, or first paragraph, says, through its attorney, the town hired an investigator to perform an impartial review of the situation. So, if I read that correctly, the town
requested from the attorney an investigator to perform the investigation. Which means the investigator, to me, it means the investigator was working for the attorney, not the town.
That is correct,
I'm
right?
wondering if that's correct.
That is correct. She was hired by the law firm of Upton and Hatfield.
Okay. So, here's my problem, and I'm just gonna make the statement, you guys can do with it what you please, but the town's attorney is here to protect the town. So I'm having difficulty trying to figure out how an impartial review would exist if the attorney hired the investigator. And I'll just leave it at that. Doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know how else you do it, to be honest. I don't know how else you do it.
Somebody would have to start it, right?
Somebody
Somebody has to start it.
somebody has to do something, yeah, that's
They don't
correct.
come in and say, we have a problem, that this person's the problem. They don't say that. They just say, we have an issue.
Yeah,
Here are some complaints.
yeah,
Can you find any validity to it? And they just back off. They say, now you have problem X.
yeah. But that's all based on what information was provided to them. And it would have been provided, I guess, by the attorney, since she was working for the attorney.
All of the information regarding the complaint investigation came from the town.
By way of the
Circulated
attorney.
to the attorney,
Yeah,
off to the
yeah,
investigator.
Yeah, that's fine. So my question on that aspect of it, the investigator's report indicates that she utilized the non-public minutes from that particular, from March 20th, meeting as part of her, review or investigation materials required for that. My question is, understand that, but does the board vote to unseal those minutes for the investigator to see that information? You vote to seal them. It seems like you vote to unseal them. And I also know that sealing them really doesn't mean anything except that you're protecting the information. Okay, I'm assuming then you did
Now,
not,
there's
but,
another question for the attorney. By unsealing it, I mean, we already have our attorney privilege, what we have right there, which they should be able to see our non-public minutes because they're our attorney. If we unseal them, that would be for public knowledge, is why I would see, when we say if we're gonna unseal something, we're opening that up for the public to see. We were only opening it for our attorney to see. So I don't think we needed to
Okay.
call unsealing because we're using the attorney-client privilege.
okay.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just saying that that makes
Neither am
that
I.
makes sense to me.
Okay, all right. I just, that person didn't seem to be an attorney kind of a person. So I shouldn't say that. Your attorney is Upton Hatfield, not the investigator. So I'm assuming again that the non-public minutes went to the
Oh.
attorney.
But again, we didn't, again, correct me guys, I'm not trying to overspeak here or anything like this, but I don't know what the attorney told the lady that did the investigation, except for the fact of, we need an investigation, certain situations came up, so we need you to contact these people and do your own independent survey. So we don't technically know if she actually even, but maybe it was just our attorney that saw the minutes.
Well, she said she used them. It's part of
she
her
used-
references.
Okay,
I'm just,
just use them all, she just used points, I don't know.
it seems like she should be using them. I'm just wondering how she got them, that's all. And then, I think you've answered my question somewhat on this, but March 20th, the non-public session had at least two separate issues. There was the firefighters coming in. And there was also an individual from the recycling center.
No,
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
nope. The recycling center was the following, because March 20th was my first day with the town of Nottingham.
Yeah.
And that was not the night that we addressed the other non-public with the recycling center employee.
Okay, my information says it was the same night, and that same day, that same night, John Scruton indicated that there might be a problem at the recycling center on that Thursday because of a personnel matter. And I'm pretty sure that that individual came into the non-public session after the firefighters left.
No, he did not. We may have addressed it as a topic, but that individual did not come in.
Okay. Okay, I don't know how that piece fits the other, but anyway, all right. Were any of the firefighters in a working status at the time? Just
What do you mean, were they on call that time? Were they working that day?
working
What do you
that
mean?
day? Were they in a work status during that meeting?
I never asked.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Would it matter?
I'm not sure if it does or not.
Where are we, I mean, what?
Yeah, where
what
do you do
what-
it?
where
Yeah.
are you going with all these, I wanna know just so.
You had 15 minutes
Non-public.
to discuss what you would like to discuss, but you're just interrogating us on page 1, paragraph 1. And I don't,
That's where I'm at this point, yeah. I'm trying to figure out,
and you've used 10 minutes.
Are you trying to figure out if we did something wrong? Are you trying to figure out the
something,
reason behind it? Are you
something
trying to
wrong has
figure out-
happened here, and I'm trying to figure out where it happened. It doesn't appear to me that step 1, 2, 3 were followed in the personnel manual, personnel policy document by the 6 employees, if I understand it correctly, from the fire department that came in to see you in a non-public session. I don't understand how employees can just come in to a non-public session without being invited. Here it says, basically, this timeline, timelines are always good for those people that are creating the timeline, it only makes their stuff important. March 20th, initial complaints were received in non-public session. And that may be true for the Board of Selectmen, but I gotta believe, in some way, shape, or form, that the town administrator was well aware and made plans for a non-public session that night with the 6 firefighters. They didn't just show up on their own and go, hey, tonight we're gonna do it. Something had to have happened prior to that.
Which would have been in line with the personnel
Personnel.
policy.
Correct. And there's 5 days, there's 5 days, there's 3 days, as you go backwards, that should have happened. There should have been something in writing. Did the Board of Selectmen get something in writing from each of these 6 people, or even from one? I don't believe so.
Doesn't have to be in writing.
It does if they went through the steps, because it would have been in writing prior to coming to the Board of Selectmen. It appears you didn't go through it appears that it didn't happen as going through the steps. I know it didn't go by way of the bylaws, because you didn't know about the bylaws until I brought them in here. So it wasn't that. So I'm just trying to figure out what process this went through, and I'm not coming up with it. And I'm not asking you to divulge anything, but that's why I'm asking you the questions that I'm asking you. Something's not right. This is not Nottingham. Whatever happened here was not Nottingham. And
What do you mean by that statement?
this is not what we do. Let me ask you a question. How many paid or unpaid administrative leave letters have been issued by the town of Nottingham in the last 10 years?
So first of all, I don't know the answer to that. I'm the newest one to this game.
Yep.
We cannot say for certain we had prior town administrators. We can only go from specifically now, going forward. So there may have been lapses in some of the items that you're referring to. I'm not gonna say that there wasn't. Again, I'm not privy to everything, because I'm the last one here.
Yep.
But everything that I have seen from once I have come here has been by the book. And I think there may have been lapses
Which book?
per following through from what I have seen through the personnel policy from when I came in, which was post start of the investigation for myself.
So they followed step 1, 2, and 3? In the,
I came in after that.
okay.
That's my response. I came in.
Yeah, no, I understand. Okay. So assuming things are equal, at what point in time was the fire chief provided the capability to respond to the complaints? I think the way it's been put before by you folks, I don't want to put words in your mouths, but the interview process was going to be that time frame. I don't see how the interview, the first 13 people of the interview process were able to respond to anything that the chief had to say because he was the 14th. And I know that's not you guys, that was the interviewer. But there was no information provided to oppose the viewpoints that were provided by those 6 firefighters that night. Unless you can tell me different, I don't know. But that's where I'm at. Something's wrong. And I don't want to see this happen again. That's why I'm here, and I'll continue to come as I get more and more questions that I can ask.
Appreciate your time.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Review action items for next meeting. This road thing again.
Pass that
Yeah.
next meeting, or are we gonna move that out, keep the responses in our next meeting?
September 11th, correct?
We can't have them keep coming back in without giving them an answer, so if it means we push it out further, then push it out further. I mean, you can't ask the guy to come in every other week and we just, thanks for your time. We'll see
I
you.
don't think we're brushing away. It's-
Well,
No, I know, we're not, but he's coming up with different,
it will depend on when we can get additional response from the attorney. As to when we can schedule next.
Okay. Any other items for next meeting?
I will have the proposals for Kennard to open, the dry hydrant.
We had talked about assigning each board member to a department for interface, try to bring that back.
Was proposed at the last meeting.
Correct. Yep. So we had mentioned the 5 departments get some form of interface. Ben, you and I talked just kind of briefly whether we would have it like, you know, certain people assigned, maybe rotate it quarterly, do something like that, but I think that it would be best and have almost like when we do the Board of Selectmen reports from assigned boards and committees, give some sort of synopsis for their respective department, just to get, and then we can meet or discuss through Ellen, whatever, what we think we want to ask each department, like figure out like what the town would like to know. It's so many calls the fire department makes, so many calls the police department makes, any headway, major developments for the highway department, which Ellen generally gives us some of this information, but it's just a different point of contact to have. So I don't know if you wanna discuss that either tonight, or at least have a plan.
So I know in previous boards a while ago, they did have liaison with each department. I think they went for an entire year.
Okay.
So, and then I guess we can leave that up to the board as to, you know, is that too long? You know, cut it back to 6 months or even a quarter, like you said. But at some point, I mean, is it enough time really to get to know the department's needs and what have you for doing it quarterly or, you know, how many times you're gonna meet during that, you know, set some sort of criteria as to, you know, meetings and what have you. You know. But I'm in favor of going back to, you know, having a liaison for each department. John?
No problem.
Yeah. So, I would say probably by the next meeting, maybe have something in mind of which each board member would like to do, and then, you know, we'll go from there. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. All right. Anything else?
We also have, policy review.
Policy review, yes.
I have Kelly pulled together all the policies that should probably be reviewed, especially with new members on board, so I can get those distributed out to you, so it'll give you a good 3 weeks to digest them and bring them up for discussion at the next
That'd be
meeting.
great. Okay. All right. If there isn't anything else for the next meeting, I open up to public comments. Mr. Bates?
What do you got?
Did you name Marston yet?
I don't know how that poll's gone. There was a poll out there,
What do you mean, a poll for what?
people's input.
Oh,
Talking about changing the name, right?
Yeah,
no,
yeah, that's what he's
Yeah, we
referring
gotta
to.
get it some more publication, or we gotta distribute it a little bit further.
I think actually, probably we've spent some money on signing, so it probably ought to be Marston property, but dedicate the ball fields to Charlie. Put up a stone and a little plaque.
I think what was
Personal
brought up the last time, it might have been a little bit of confusion with so many names, particularly to one property. I think there was a little bit of confusion there.
Why couldn't all our problems be this easy?
Yeah.
there's always been a bunch of names for that property, so it really doesn't matter what another one is.
Right, if you're not naming the whole property, just dedicating the ball field.
Okay. Yeah, we did it out here, we can do it out over there.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can discuss that at the next meeting, put on the next meeting, either, should give us a couple of weeks, maybe get some results. Maybe the NYA can kick something out, hey, what about this
Yeah,
You probably,
portion, can talk to the NYA, I can see strikers, stuff like that, put it out to people, see what people's input. At least get it to
Well-
the families that'll definitely be out there,
as a reminder though, that is the town's property.
yes. But the organizations have have the contact to get the information instead of saying, hoping that people go onto the
Gotcha,
town's
okay.
website to vote. Either to blast people to tell them to go to the town's website to vote and just get some input from.
Okay, I see what you're saying, all right. Okay, doesn't sound like there's any public comments. We're gonna go into non-public under 91
A32,
A32
E for legal,
E, okay,
A for personnel.
and A for personnel, okay. Thank you for coming, good night.
thanks, guys.
All right, well,
Roll call,
roll call.
roll
Well,
call for non-public.
Aye, Steve Welch.
Ivan Bartlett.
Hi, Tim Gabriel.
I'm not sure.
Okay, we're now entering a non-public, and we were done in non-public, we will exit it, and we will adjourn the meeting and seal the minutes. Good night, Nottingham.